Free mind, you crazy for this. Soulful. It's like our responsibility to make us feel something. You know, to make people feel what we feeling. Hey, yo.
Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is the Ready, Set, Go preview show, a show that we do on Sunday night to get the week started off on the right foot. And as part of this show, we run down some things that are maybe top of mind for me and may also be top of mind for you. In other words, current events in and around the world of comic book collecting. I also give you a preview of some of the content that is going to be coming out from the channel over the course of this week. And we generally have a good time as we do the said things. I'm also going to be announcing a couple of giveaways that will be taking place over this next week. So I definitely want to encourage you guys to stay tuned for that. I think that the giveaways are pretty cool. And some of you that are regulars here on the show that watch a lot of the content may also notice that some things have changed in the background. There is some new stuff that is in the background. If you are astute and are paying attention, you will notice that there's some yellow labels back there on the wall. I actually finally had the yellow labels for Isolation issue number 1 come in on Saturday, and I immediately started processing orders. I think a couple of them were processed today, but most of them were bundled up yesterday, and we're going to get those in the mail on Monday, so that those folks that have been waiting for their copies of Isolation issue number 1 yellow will arrive to them, hopefully, fingers crossed, this week. The ones in Canada, in Canada, I don't know when yours are going to show up. It says 8 days, but we will see. We will see whether it is 8 days. I actually have still a couple of copies of the yellow label that were not sold. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with those just yet. But yeah, so there you go. All right. A couple of people making note of that. Who was that? Let me go. Where is that? Storage bag. Finally got my schedule situated to catch you live. Thanks for all the informative content. You are welcome, sir. You are welcome. I definitely appreciate when people take a moment to say thanks. I put out a lot of content with the hope that it will benefit people, and it's cool when people take a moment to just say thank you for that. I am very appreciative of people allowing me to be part of their day. You know what I'm saying? Because you certainly don't have to do it. So I definitely appreciate it. Let me go ahead and click. There was another point that I was going to make that has gotten away from me. I'm confident. I am confident that it will come back to me. If anyone is in here right now for the very first time, I definitely want to encourage you guys to acknowledge. Let us know. Let us know what's going on. If this is your first live stream, let us know. GarageCon is indeed going down. For those that don't know, GarageCon is a copyright that I have. I won it from Belle Biv DeVoe. But GarageCon is an event that I have here at the house, and as the name implies, it is a con that is in my garage. It is going down on November 19th. We are not too far away, so it is going to happen. I need to actually start making some magic happen. I need to line some things up. I went and spoke with a what are those things? The food truck. Went to speak to one of the food truck people. I'm not quite sure if we're going to do that. They were featured on Dines. I don't know, one of those shows, foodie show, and their prices were ridiculous. I felt like their prices were a little high for food that is to be consumed by people. So we may not be doing that. But GarageCon 2022 is indeed going down. If you guys have not yet registered for the event, I want to encourage you to do so. If you go to regiecollects.com, at the top there is a GarageCon button. You click that, you go to the page, and I think it's like the third expandable window where you can actually click and register. You have to provide me with your information and a copy of your driver's license, because again, you are coming to my house, so I want to know who you are just in case. So you go ahead and submit that, and then you are registered. If someone is above the age of 18, I need an ID for those people. The kids, not so much. All right. Let me see. I think I'm all caught up. All right. So let me give you guys quickly a rundown of some of the content that is going to come out from the channel. And then I want to get to several news items and then some other things, including a giveaway or two announcements. So I'll be doing that here in a hot moment. So this week we have some cool stuff that is going to be coming out. I have a video that's going to be dropping. In the video, I'm not going to tell you what the theme of the video is just yet, but what I will tell you is in this video, there is some bonus footage that I have included where I show more than $1 million in original art. More, it might actually be closer to like 2.5 million. There was one specific piece of art that the guy told me was worth, I think he said $650,000. $650,000 for a single piece of original art. Yes, I would encourage you to check out this video when it drops. I think that as part of the thumbnail, it says 1 million in art. I might need to change that to like 2 because I don't think 1 does it justice. So we're going to do that. There were a lot of folks that asked about the Spider-Man, the must-have Spider-Man video that I did where I highlighted must-have comics associated with Spider-Man. I did a part 2 of that, so that's going to be coming out this week. And then there was a video from last week that I bumped. I bumped the video on Thursday to this week. It's the error video that I made mention of last week. The video that I released on Thursday of this last week was, I think, a really good video. I think it was well timed because the video seems to be doing well. So the error video has been bumped to this week. So those are the 3 pre-recorded videos. We're also going to do the live stream of Comics Today on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then the podcast will also be coming out. 5 pieces of content that will be coming out from the channel. The pre-recorded videos Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 3:30 Eastern, no, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. 6:30 Eastern Standard Time is when those come out. And then the live stream, as I mentioned, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, so there you go. Scrolling through, any new people? Tina, any new people? Any first-time live streamers that are in here? I didn't see any. I was too busy talking. Homegrown Comics, brother, you cannot get the address of the location without registering first. So you definitely want to take some time to do that so that you can know where to go. All right, I'm scrolling through. I don't see any new people. I need to go back and watch last week's videos. It's been a crazy week. Brother, trust me, I understand. I have 2 sick children, one of which has a fever right now. I've been up at 6 a.m. and every single day and taking care of kids. So today I took a nap and it was wonderful. I took a nap and it was just great. Double, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Steve says a busy week ahead. I definitely get it. I get it. Trust me. All right. So let's go on. First time. There you go. What is that? Big Dave Booth. Big Dave Booth is a first-time live streamer. Dave, it is wonderful to be in your presence. Thank you for showing up to the live stream. I hope that you enjoy the content that we put out here. Thank you, brother. I definitely appreciate that. Scrolling through, we are in North Carolina. North Carolina is the general area that we don't believe in COVID here in North Carolina. No, we don't. We don't do the COVIDs. We don't do the COVIDs. Thankfully, it's nothing more than a cold. But welcome to all the new people. And certainly, if you are viewing this from another country, we appreciate you too. I think, what was it? Is it the Netherlands? We are big in the Netherlands. Woo! We are big. Let me see if I can find. I think it is the Netherlands. Switzerland, we're doing pretty good. Denmark, Bangladesh. How you doing? And also Canada. United States, Switzerland, Denmark, Bangladesh, and Canada are the top geographies, top geographies in a couple of ways. All right. So with that said, I want to hit off on a couple of no one said that COVID wasn't real. I said we don't believe in COVID here in North Carolina. 2 different things, my friend. 2 different things entirely. All right. So one thing that I wanted to talk about is Black Adam. I wanted to talk about this. I have not heard a lot about how Black Adam has or has not been performing. Like the first week, we heard a lot of noise about Black Adam and how, it was the #1 box office movie around the world. I think that's what The Rock was saying. And I hadn't seen any more information about how the box office was performing, so I decided to investigate. And I should say, this is also not unusual. Typically, you have a big first week, and then everything else after that just kind of dies off. And I think I've seen some numbers that show that movies will die off to the tune of like 76% or some crazy percent in terms of fall off from weekend 1 to weekend 2. So I wanted to see how Black Adam was actually doing. And according to Deadline, Black Adam muscles up. You like that? Muscles up to $250 million globally. Now, mind you, this movie costs $195 million to produce. That does not include marketing. So they're probably still in the negative territory, is my guess. Probably still in the negative territory, but at least they've recovered their production costs by this point. And it says Warner Brothers' New Line, DC's Black Adam, in its second offshore frame, saw a strong hold, down just 45%. Again, just 45%. It might seem like a lot, but as I mentioned, I think I've seen numbers that say a lot of movies will fall off like 76%. But it added $39 million from 76 offshore markets to take the running total to about $140 million globally, which brings them to a total of $250 million to date. And it kind of goes into some statistics here around, what the fall off was. And you can see that in parts of Europe, it kind of held on. France was only down 19%, Netherlands 25%, Germany 27%, UK 38%. But it just kind of runs through how the movie is performing. And I do believe, again, here, the movie still ranked number 1 in 60 overseas markets. So it's still performing incredibly well. And as some other people have pointed out, there's not a whole lot of competition out there, which again, that's what you want when you're releasing a movie. You don't necessarily want a whole lot of competition because there's only so many dollars that can go around when someone shows up to the movie theater. But the movie, I guess is doing good. I mean, everyone has to interpret some of these findings for themselves, whether they think that is good or bad. But it says in like for like markets and using today's exchange rate, the film is tracking 42% ahead of Shazam, which may or may not be a good benchmark. I don't know that Shazam is where you want to hold yourself to. I think if you're going to compare yourself to something, you probably want to go after Aquaman, which I think brought in $1.1 million. The long and short of all of this is that they think that this movie is going to get to around $40 million. They think that it's going to get to about $40 million, which potentially falls a little short of other movies that are out there. I think it still puts it in probably the top 6 or 7 DC movies. But $40 million is not necessarily, as I mentioned, Aquaman 1.1, but Aquaman was also released during the holidays. And so it benefited from, that multiple factor that happens when people are off for a vacation and all that kind of stuff. But again, Black Adam is sitting right now at $25 million, still the number 1 movie in 60 countries, and is on pace, they believe, to get to about $40 million. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that with you guys because I was curious about it and wanted to share. Shazam is different, only cost. There you go. I guess this Black Adam movie cost basically double, because it cost $195 million to actually make it, not including, again, advertising and marketing costs. So it will probably do good. I think it is opening up in China sometime soon. I think I saw some headlines. Associated with it coming up in China at some point. So 90 he certainly didn't work for free. There's no doubt about that one. He certainly did not work for free. I'm confident. But, I'm pretty sure he probably worked Zoa into the background and some other stuff. So he kind of spread those advertising dollars around just a little bit. But again, I thought that was a pretty cool topic. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that with you guys. The other one that I wanted to share with you is that for the last several weeks, we've been hearing, probably for the last maybe 6 months, maybe a little bit longer, we've been hearing that DC was trying to find a Kevin-like figure that would actually come in and take over the helm of all of DC related to superheroes. We now know that has been done. They hired James Gunn, who directed Guardians of the Galaxy and several other movies for a long period of time. But they also hired on Peter Safran, his production partner or producing partner, who was in charge of Aquaman. And again, $1.1 billion. The two of them are now the co-chairs of DC Studios. So we know that there is somebody or some people in place now to take over film, TV shows, and animation for DC for at least the next 4 years, right? We know that. But prior to that, prior to hiring these guys, we also covered on the channel and Instagram and all that stuff, the various people that were being engaged as possible candidates to take on that role. But come to find out, David Zaslav, who is the CEO of Discovery Warner Brothers, actually approached Kevin Feige himself. At least that is the rumor on the streets. That is the rumor that DC attempted to steal Kevin Feige from Marvel Studios. And this is some insider stuff that they're talking about. But it highlights here that there is one thing that's remained throughout the entirety of the MCU. It's the leadership of Kevin Feige. The Marvel Studios president has helped to shepherd dozens of projects through the pipeline and is essentially responsible for making it the mega franchise it is today. And last time I looked at it, they had brought in like 22 or $24 billion over the last whatever period of time. That is a ton of money. That is a ton of money. The DC universe, on the other hand, this article from The Direct points out, has never really had the same singular leader guiding the vision of the franchise. The Warner Brothers Discovery merger resulted in many leadership changes behind the scenes and also in front of the scenes as they navigated scandal after scandal. But it was reported that the company was looking for someone in a Kevin Feige type role. Sure enough, they actually went after Kevin Feige himself. And it is rumored that according to Neil, not my neighbor Neil, who may actually be in the chat, but according to this guy, David Zaslav approached none other than Kevin Feige himself to run the DC universe earlier this year. And of course, Kevin Feige politely declined that invitation. Now, what's interesting is that this was not necessarily this was a shot on goal, but it had a possibility to go in, right? Had this been several years ago, potentially David could have scored Kevin Feige. And I say that because of this graph here, where they actually talk about the fact that Kevin Feige was bumping heads with the past Marvel CEO. Bumping heads about, I guess, the future of what was going to happen with the movies and the TV shows and all that kind of stuff. But that changed in 2015 when Kevin was actually promoted. A lot of that, challenge went away because he was then in charge of making all the decisions. So I just thought that, again, that this was an interesting article because the rumors out there about trying to find a Kevin Feige seemed interesting. And now, sure enough, we know that they actually wanted the Kevin Feige, but he politely declined. I wonder how much money they may have offered Kevin Feige to come on board. It had to be a nice chunk of money, no doubt about that. The other thing I'll mention here ever so briefly is that a lot of people have raised some concerns with some things that that James Gunn and Peter Safran have stated about the future of the DC universe, the DCU. I reported that they specifically named 5 characters that they wanted to build the universe around. They wanted to build it around, as you would imagine, Batman, Superman, Aquaman, Harley Quinn, and Wonder Woman. They wanted to build it upon those 5 people. Now, what I think is important here is that they're not saying that they're going to build the universe exclusively with those people. I don't think that that's the point. There is going to be people that are in this universe outside of those 5 people. But if you think about it, the MCU was built upon Iron Man and Captain America to some degree or another, but then lots of other characters, lots of other teams also appeared. And I have a feeling that they're potentially going to do something very similar here. They are building upon arguably the 5 most popular characters. I mean, you can make some calls on Aquaman, but arguably the 5 most important characters, and they're going to build things around them, but not just with them, because a lot of people are like, well, what about this character? And what about that character? I think that all the characters are on the table, to be honest with you. It won't just be those five. But if you think about it, and I keep saying that, so my apologies for the repetition, but if you think about it, DC needs some wins. They have just had this major merger. They are in the hole big time. They've canceled multiple movies, multiple TV shows, more potentially on the horizon. They have $3 billion in synergies as a result of these two companies coming together. They need some wins and they need some stability. So they can't necessarily go to shareholders and be like, hey, we're going to build a universe around the Wonder Twins. Like, that doesn't necessarily fly. You build it upon arguably the most recognized and well-known intellectual property that you have. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, for sure. Harley Quinn is right there. And Aquaman, again, is their most popular or most successful movie, $1.1 billion. So you got to include Aquaman. Again, I think that they're trying to do the right thing by bringing some stability to what it is that they are trying to do and to set themselves up for success. At least that is my belief. Scrolling through some of the comments here. What about Green Lantern? I think I've covered that, sir. I think that I've covered that same thing with Hawk and Dove. I think that all of these characters are on the table. I think that they're all on the table. I think that any of them are possible. And I think that, at the end of the day, they need some wins. They need some good movies, and they need to have some success. And if they're able to do that, then I think that they can take some additional risk. I think that they can take some risks. All right. So with that said, wow, that's a lot. The name might say it all. I don't know if I would agree with that. I don't know if I would agree with that at all, to be honest with you. I think that they have some very strong IP that is recognized the world over, that has made a tremendous amount of money for a long period of time. I think that they need to tell some really good stories. And if they can do that, I think they're going to be in a very, very good place. El Green Machine is all about the Green Lantern. I respect it. Steve White's in here shouting out Punchline. You can't go wrong. You can't. Neighbor Neil's on the board. Doesn't know a thing about superheroes. Teasing. He does. He knows one or two things. He knows about Batman and Superman. Neighbor Neil, it is good to see you. For those that are coming to GarageCon, Neighbor Neil will not be at GarageCon. He has decided that he is going to go to some other event on November 19th, but he can always cancel. As he tells me, you are needed at this event. That's what he tells me. No pressure for Neighbor Neil to actually show up. All right. So one of the big questions that people have been asking me a lot. I've received a lot of emails. I've received a lot of DMs. When is Isolation issue number 2 coming? Soon. It is coming soon. And to actually spend a little bit of time talking about that, I've invited the writer and co-creator behind Isolation to actually come on and talk with me a little bit about the comic. Doug, it is good to see you, my friend.
Great to see you, Reggie.
So a lot of people don't, I try to remember that the videos and live streams we do are oftentimes someone's first entry to the channel. And so I want to kind of start at the beginning just a little bit to make sure that even the first time viewer understands what this is. This is a comic that you've basically written. You brought it to me several months ago. I decided to publish it under Swoldier Publishing. And we sold a ton of books. We had a large print run. We had the book in at least 10 different LCSs in North America. And we sold a ton of copies. We paid a lot of creators some good money to put pen to paper and ink to paper and all that kind of stuff and hook us up. But to the point of this being someone's first introduction to Isolation, Doug, writer, co-creator, what is Isolation?
Isolation is an ongoing mystery series with horror and fantasy elements. And it's about a secretive community that had 3 major periods of murder, and it does not involve time travel.
Doug, it's almost like you've uttered those words before.
I make a point to add on the time travel disclaimer every time now.
You have to, man, because there was a lot of confusion the first time.
Yeah.
Doug, when did you originally come up with the idea for Isolation? Can you talk about that origin, and then how did you start building all of this out? Kind of encapsulate that for people just a little bit.
It was a long evolution. The first germ of an idea was probably a decade or more ago. But it was one of those things that at the time I was a newspaper cartoonist, so I did not have time to develop certain projects. So I kept a notebook and would just kind of write down ideas as they came to me. And in the last few years, I've really focused on forming a full story from beginning to end, because that was one of my inspirations. I feel I love mystery series, and I feel that some on television start with a really interesting premise, which is not that hard to come up with, but it is hard to figure out where it's going and to tell a good, complete story. And that was my motivation to write Isolation.
And for those that don't know, you are directly citing Lost, the Lost TV show, which was a great premise, but also had a lot of threads that did not necessarily run anywhere nor connect to anything that was pertinent in future installments. But to that point, Doug, if someone read issue number 1, how does issue number 1 set up issue number 2, if at all?
So it set it up quite a bit. Issue number 1 had to be a taste of all the different time periods. So it was more smaller vignettes than getting into the meat of the story. And it also had to set up the rules for the series. So without giving anything away for people who haven't read issue number 1, there are certain characters and elements to the story that if I didn't tease them in issue number 1 would be jarring if they popped up down the road. So that was issue number 1. Issue number 2 really starts to get into the meat of the story and is much more in line with what the majority of issues will look like, which is a heavy focus in one time period, connecting to, and this time period is 1869, with the continuing story of 1992 and the investigation of what happened to Isolation.
So is it necessary for someone to read issue number 1 to read and enjoy issue number 2?
So as a writer, I try and make sure that there is some good context given at the beginning of each issue, and that you can read it as a story and at least understand as a jumping off point what's going on for this issue. With that said, it's an ongoing mystery series, and I feel like if you're hearing about Isolation for the first time right now and you know issue 2's coming out, I believe, although we've sold a lot of copies, I believe there are some left on regiecollects.com, and some of the LCS still have copies. So I would encourage a reader to get issue number 1 if they can, to read that first.
Does issue number 2 set up later issues? So is this an issue that people should buy to give them some insight into what happens in the future? I mean, yes, they're going to enjoy the read. There's no doubt about that. But does it also set up things to come?
Yes. Very simply put, issue number 2 is very important to the context of what is going on in Isolation, especially in 1869. And understanding what's going on in Isolation in 1869 is critical to understanding what's going on in 1919 when we eventually get there, and in 1949 when we eventually get there.
There we go. There we go. All right. So, Doug, I want to take you off screen for a moment because I want to make a couple of announcements and then I'll bring you back to talk a little bit more. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So there we go. He threw me off when he gave that yes answer because I was like, is that it? Like Doug normally gives these robust answers. So when he said the yes, I was like, is there more to come? And sure enough, there was. So if it's not clear why we have Doug on right now, it is because issue number 2 is available for sale right now on regiecollects.com. The file was released to the printer. We are about to hopefully get this thing before the end of November. They need a couple of weeks to do their thing. Fingers crossed that we may get it for GarageCon. That's what I'm hoping. But the issue has been released to the printer. They have confirmed receipt last week. And fingers crossed that this thing is going to be getting on the printer sometime soon and will be bundled up and shipped to me. But to get things started off on the right foot, and we are actually going to look at the covers here for a second. But to get things started on the right foot, I want to do a couple of giveaways. That may entice people to place an order on regiecollects.com for issue number 2 of Isolation. So what I want to do is if you go to the website and you make a qualified purchase is defined as a purchase greater than $14. Purchase greater than $14, you will be in the running for some prizes. One of those prizes is the ash can, the Isolation ash can. You cannot buy this thing. I may give away a couple of them. We have to see how robust people are in their ordering, but these are the ash cans. This was limited for issue number 1 to only 100 copies, and I still have some here in the room, but I'm also going to be giving away a signed copy of Isolation. Again, if you make a qualified purchase, it is only a 9.6 though, but it is free. I sent in a bunch of books. I got one back at a 9.6, so I cannot sell it, but we are going to give it away. This is signed by the main artist, Delia Gunderson, by Doug, and then also by myself. So if you make a qualified purchase in the next week, from today to next Sunday when I do the show, you will be able to win a couple of prizes. Again, a graded comic of Isolation issue number 1, and also an ash can. So again, I may give away a couple of these. We will see how it goes. But the other ways, if you don't make a purchase, I'm still going to give some stuff away. When this video gets posted, not now in the live stream, but when this video gets posted, if you leave a comment behind, I will do a random comment or 2, and I will pick them, and I will also give them something. It could be an ash can. It could be a one of 25 variants. So what I did is the first 25 books that came out of the box, they received a special label. You cannot buy those. There's only 25 of them. I still have some, and we're going to give potentially one or a couple of those away simply for leaving a comment on this video when it gets posted. And you have from now until next week to actually qualify for that. All right. So 2 giveaways, one with purchase, one without. I know that these are tough economic times for a lot of people, so we don't want to not say thank you to those people that take the time to watch and comment on the videos. All right. So with that said, let me go ahead and bring Doug back. Doug, welcome back. I don't know that I've ever done that with a guest, taken them out and brought them back. I don't know. I have to think about it. But Doug, I want to take a little bit of time and I want to look at the various covers that are available on regiecollects.com. And my hope is that maybe you can make a comment or 2 about the artist or what it is that you appreciate about the cover. And then I will provide context on the print run side. So bear with me as I pull up this first one. And I think you know which one this is. This is cover 1A. So if you want to wind up the pitch and give us some insight into this one.
Yes. So Delia Gunderson, who's the lead artist, did this beautiful cover, and it introduces on that cover a character whose first appearance is this issue. She's an important character to the story of Isolation, and you zoomed in on that eye, which is just super fun and one of my favorite things, continuing the theme of issue number's 1 reflection cover. I love that that eye. The whole cover is beautiful.
It is incredibly well done. I mean, it is just striking. From the first moment that I saw it, I was like, this cover is just gorgeous, and it made sense to make it issue number 1 for certain.
Yeah.
Liger Sile says it's Rick Grimes. Could be Rick Grimes, brother. All right, so let me go back. I took that off the screen too fast. So the print run for this specific cover, which is cover 1A, is 1,500 copies. We're doing 1,500 copies of cover 1A. This is issue number 2, and that actually will say November. We changed that out, but it'll say November there. 1,500 copies of this one, cover 1A, and it is a trade dress. All right, so let me take that off screen. And then, Doug, we're going to go to cover B, so you can wind up on that one and give some details on this.
So this is by Adam Shermer, who was the graphic designer who created the logo of Isolation. He's a super talented graphic artist. Some of you may know Adam for the second print of the guide. My brother Dave drew the cover, and Adam digitally painted it. Adam's an incredibly talented artist and graphic designer. And when we asked Adam to do an issue 2 cover, I was hoping that he would really show off his graphic design skills. And I think they're reflected in every element of the cover. It's a little hard to tell on the full black background, but there is both a hint of the Valley of Isolation behind the gunman, as well as the super creepy face image of one of the several bad guys that you'll be introduced to for the first time in Isolation issue 2. Lots of first appearances, important first appearances in issue 2.
Just to be clear, is that Abraham Lincoln?
No.
Okay. There are comments about Abraham Lincoln, the Vampire Slayer, appearing in this comic. That is not Abraham Lincoln, but it is a dope cover. I had a chance to meet Adam at New York Comic Con. Absolute pleasure. We've worked with him because he also did the trade dress. He designed the trade dress for us. So that was my first time working with him, and it was an absolute pleasure. The print run on issue 1B is 600. So there are 600 total copies of this one right here. Cover 1A is 1,500. So let me go ahead and take that off screen, and then we'll do the next cover, which is of course 1C. And this one, this is a trade dress as well. I just don't have the trade dress version on my desktop, but this is 1C. So Doug, go ahead and talk about this one.
So this cover was created by Elena Morton. Elena has worked on issue number 1 and issue number 2 as Delia's artist assistant, helping with some of the pencils, some of the finishing backgrounds and layouts, things of that nature. Elena's super talented. She has a really distinctive style. And we wanted to give an opportunity to showcase her unique talents and abilities. And this is the first cover appearance and of another important character also introduced in issue number 2. She's not named in issue 2, so I'm not going to let that slip out.
Don't
just yet.
You're doing a good job not revealing any names. So
there you go.
But this one has a really cool style to it. It is very folksy, if you will. And it's different from what we've done with the other covers. And that's part of the reason why I really liked it in terms of like the colors and also just how it's designed. This one is 150 copies. This is cover 1C, 150 total copies. And then there's one last cover that we will show you, and we'll talk a little bit about this one. This one is cover F. So Doug, do you want to talk about this one as well?
Yes. So for issue number 1, we did a Virgin Premium exclusive that you could only get on regiecollects.com, where the black was in a matte finish and the rest of the colors had a pearlescent spot gloss that gave it a little bit of a silvery sheen to it. It's really hard to describe. It's absolutely beautiful. I think it was far and away the first, the fastest copy of issue number 1 to completely sell out. And we wanted to continue that limited premium with issue number 2. And this will be that version, to my knowledge, I believe, in that same matte finish with the iridescent gloss.
It's going to be gorgeous. It really is going to be gorgeous, especially with the hair flowing over the face. I think it's going to be really well done. I'm looking forward to getting this one in hand. This one will be limited to 350 copies. And if you're paying attention, you notice that we went from A, B, C to F. We skipped some things because there are some surprises that will be coming out a little bit later. But this is cover 1F and covers A, B, C, and F are all available right now for sale on the website, regiecollects.com. The total print run for all of these is only 3,000 copies, right? We spoke about this before. We were going to do a smaller print run for issue number 2. It is limited to 3,000 total copies. There may be some things that happen that I will update you guys on if they do happen. But right now, the covers that we are looking at, what Doug and I are going to be releasing right now, is 3,000 total copies. And again, fingers crossed that we can get these in hand in time for GarageCon, but certainly before the end of November, we will immediately start shipping things out. One thing that I want to say is, again, this is a pre-sale. Do not send Reggie emails asking when the book is going to be shipped. The updates will be provided on the YouTube channel, on social media, on the website. So just check there. As soon as I get books, I will announce it and I will immediately start shipping. The other thing that I want to say is that if you are buying a copy of issue number 2 from the website, only buy issue number 2. It makes my life really, really simple if the order is just for issue number 2 versus if the order is for issue number 2 and a cleaning kit and this thing and that thing, because it makes it really difficult for me to manage when to ship your stuff out, given that this is a pre-sale and it's not something that I have right now. So if you are placing an order, limit the order to issue number 2 only. And later tonight, I do not think that issue number 1 is available on the website, but I will toggle that switch and turn it back on because I had to make this announcement first. Issue 2 is separate from everything else because everything else ships immediately. All right. Doug, any additional thoughts or comments that you want to make about issue 2 or isolation in general?
I am so excited to see issue 2 come out. We hit a couple of bumps and delays and hurricanes and things like that along the way. It's exciting to see it coming out. And I'm enjoying working on what's next right now as we speak.
So I will make 2 comments. I don't even know if you know this, Doug, that the roofs were ripped off of the printing facility that we use in Florida. Did you know that?
I knew it was affected.
Yeah.
I did not know the roof was ripped off.
3 of the 4 roofs were ripped off the printer. So that is part of the reason why things have also been delayed. We hit some snags. There's no doubt about that. But that was definitely one of the challenges that we face, is that they just were not up and running, right? Yeah. But fingers crossed again that we are going to make some magic happen. But I think more importantly, and I want to announce this now, Doug, we are taking steps to speed up our ability to actually release issues to you all in a more timely manner. And to that point, we have already started working on issue 3. Issue 3 is already in the works, and we have a timeline that should get this book out to you all in a much faster fashion than issue 2 from issue 1, right? And so what I will say to you is that a lot of our ability to make this magic happen is us selling issue 2 and selling well, so that we can roll those funds into issue number 3 and be able to keep this thing going, because I know that that is one of the questions that have been asked by people. The good news, Doug, I will tell you, is that my watch is constantly vibrating as I go through this live stream, because there are orders coming in on regiecollects.com, which I think is a good thing. I think that is a good thing. So again, Doug, it has been an absolute pleasure to work with you on this. Issue 2 is fantastic. I had an opportunity to see all of the pages in New York Comic Con, and they are striking. And I cannot wait for people to read what it is that you and the team have put together. And so I just want to say thank you for the continued collaboration.
Thank you, Reggie, and I'll see you at GarageCon.
Yes, sir. See you soon, brother. All right. All right. And I did not cut him off. There you go. I think I may be perfecting this whole live streaming thing. All right. So for those folks that came in a little bit late, we are definitely going to be giving away some things. We're going to, if you make a qualifying purchase of at least $14 on RegieCollects.com for issue number 2, you can actually win a copy or 2 of the Ash Can, and also a signed copy of issue number 1, a 9.6 triple signed. I will be naming the winners of that on Sunday, so you have a week to get in the running for that. But then I'm also going to be giving away for simply commenting on this video when it gets posted, not in the live stream, but when it gets posted. We're going to pick a couple of winners next Sunday and give away some things to those people as well, because again, I know that things can be tight out there for folks, so we definitely want to do some cool stuff for folks. All right, so what can you not find on the website, sir? What can you not? Philtastic found it. Seth, I can't wait for you to read it. Phil, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Trev is shouting out Ash cans. Oh, you know what? What's funny is I have behind the wall here, I actually have a stack of Ash cans that I found in the 100K collection. I'm going to be doing a video on it sometime soon. Many of these Ash cans are actually not contained in Key Collector app, but I have found them in the 100K collection. So I think that there's some heart for Ash cans, and I was inspired by my own Ash can to go hunting for Ash cans in the 100K collection. And sure enough, I pulled out a ton of them. You cannot find it. A lot of people are able to find it, my good people. A lot of people. Let me see if I'm going to navigate there right now. If you go to regiecollects.com, you click on the shop. And then if you, I will try to put it, it's literally on the front page. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys real quick to help out. So here we go. If you go to regiecollects.com, you click on shop right there. And then if you scroll down, it is literally Isolation pre-sale right there. Issue number 2 is listed right there. You click that and you can see all of the wonderful covers along with some scenes. You can see some scenes from the book itself. I grabbed a couple of screenshots. So it is literally right there on the front page of the shop. So hopefully that helps folks that were not able to find it. And certainly if people aren't able to find it, hit me up and we can talk about it. Scrolling through, okay. I think I'm all caught up. All right. So it is up there. Hopefully you guys can find it in the spirit of creators doing some really cool stuff. I wanted to share this story with you guys because I thought that it was a cool story, and it relates to Moon Knight. It relates to Moon Knight. Oscar Isaac, the guy that played Moon Knight, Mark Spector, has created a comic. And I cannot remember which of you sent this news story to me, but a couple of you sent it to me in this last week. And I wanted to chat a little bit about it. So Oscar Isaac tries on a new hat, that being a comic book creator. The Star Wars and Moon Knight star released his debut graphic novel called Head Wounds through Legendary Comics, the publishing arm of the company producing Dune. And him releasing this comic actually came out of just a casual conversation on set with some people. He had a conversation and now it has turned into a comic. But that's actually not the cool thing. To me, that's not the cool thing. The coolest thing is that he is doing a comic with his high school friends. Much like Adam Shermer, who worked on 1B with us, is friends with Doug, Oscar has teamed up with a couple of his buddies from high school to actually put out this comic. And I think that that's really cool. But what makes it even more interesting is one of the guys was diagnosed about 6 years ago with lymphoma. And he ended up undergoing chemo. And I think that he's doing well right now. But what he talked about was he had an invisible wound, right? He's walking around, appears to be healthy, but he actually has lymphoma, and he was told that he would have no more than 6 months to live. And that's when he started to undergo chemotherapy. And I guess he's doing well now. The article doesn't really say, but Oscar, his buddy, and another friend used that experience to actually come up with a comic. And they latched onto the idea and spun it into a narrative centered around a New Orleans detective who gets shot in the head yet lives. And there are some supernatural elements at play. He spends most of the mystery with a visible bullet wound in his forehead, like an extreme version of I guess the Chinatown movie. But I thought that this was interesting about, you know, a couple of guys that have had a friendship for a very long time that have come together and done some really cool stuff. Like back in the day, they had a band together, right? They had a band together, and now they are actually creating and releasing a comic. Another thing that I thought was really interesting about this is that this is not necessarily new, right? We know that I think it was Danny DeVito has written a comic. Keanu Reeves has written Berserker. We know about that. That is going to be, I think it's been optioned for a movie and also an anime. But I did not know that Samuel L. Jackson wrote a comic called Cold Space that was released from Boom. I did not know that. I actually feel like I should go read it because I dig Samuel L. Jackson. But I've heard that he is a fan of comics. I mean, he's been in enough comic related movies. I did not know he created one, but Cold Space. So I may have to go check that out. But again, just a really cool story that was in the Hollywood Reporter that I wanted to share with you guys. And then let me go to the chat real quick. It's just interesting article. There you go. What did I school them on? What did I school them on? On how to navigate through the website. You know, the website, I'll be honest with you, it's not the best website. I actually started to build a completely new website, and I think I mentioned this to you guys several months ago, and I wanted to have the website built in time to release issue number 2. Something happened where that website was completely lost. Like everything was erased, and I was disheartened by that. I was disheartened, and as a result, I have not gone back in to recreate anything that was done. But the new website that I was working on was much more robust. It was a much more robust e-commerce platform than the one that I use now. The one that I have now works. It works, but it's not the best. And at some point, I will try to upgrade. When that happens, we will see. Again, Matt Woods and Liger Style. I'm glad you guys found it. And again, just having fun. You guys know how I roll. Just having a little bit of fun. So we covered off on that. One last thing that I wanted to kind of speak to, and I just thought this was interesting. I may actually go back and start reading this comic from I think it's been a comic before, but Dynamite. Dynamite is doing something really cool. A comic that I guess they're coming out with that is based upon a TV show. They've sold 100,000 copies of Gargoyles. And I remember watching some episodes of Gargoyles back in the day, but it wasn't like Thundercats or G.I. Joe to me. I don't know that I remember that much, but this comic that Dynamite is coming out with, Gargoyles, is their best-selling comic of the year. And so far, they have revealed that they've sold over 100,000 copies of this issue number 1, which I think is crazy. It says the issue will actually be hitting the shelves November 14th. So I'm guessing the final order cutoff is right around the corner. But shout out to Dynamite. Shout out to them for doing something really awesome. I do believe that the main creator that is behind the Gargoyles is actually writing this comic, and the way that it's phrased in the article, there may be spin-off comics that come out from this as well. And if they're selling 100,000 copies of issue number 1, rest assured that they're probably going to leverage that to do some other things. So again, another really cool article that I came across that I wanted to make sure that I share with you guys. I don't know if anybody's terribly familiar with Gargoyles, but I feel like I should go maybe watch it or read it or something like that. There you go. Gargoyles. What is that? The first issue of Gargoyles was Disney Comics. There you go. I felt like it was a comic, and I have not read it, so I do want to read that. Liger Style says it was awesome. Says it was a good cartoon. Mark says that I'm related to a couple. Hey, I love it already. If the actors from Star Trek: The Next Generation were involved, I'm on board already. No doubt about it. What's funny, somebody made mention of this comment early in the live stream about what's going on with isolation being option. I will tell you, and I revealed this to Patreon a couple of weeks ago. We were actually contacted by somebody with all of the noise that was happening in the market around issue number 1. Somebody actually reached out and said, hey, would you like us to take a look at this for some possible, optioning, if you will. I don't think that anything's going to come of it, and that's just being completely honest. I don't think that anything's going to come of it, but it was really cool when somebody approached me about isolation, and I was able to reveal that information to Doug, because Doug has worked, and the team collectively have worked really hard on bringing isolation to light. And the fact that someone would proactively reach out to us to say, hey, can we take a look at this? That was a sign that we were maybe on the right track, And like I said, I don't think that anything's going to come of it. I just think that it's one of those really cool things that we can look back on and be like, you know what? We did something really cool. We didn't sell 100,000 copies. We didn't do that. But I think according to Doug's count, we have sold about 10,000 publications. We have sold about 10,000 individual copies of things that we have created between the guide and isolation issue number 1. I think that was the last count, was about 10,000, which is crazy. Fingers crossed that we can sell all 3,000 copies of issue number 2 and then move into issue number 3 and do the same thing. So I tell you guys all the time, we have secrets, and Doug and I have been keeping this secret for a very, very long time. And again, I feel comfortable saying something now because I really don't think that anything's going to come out of it, but it was really cool. It was really cool for them to come and ask us the question. And again, I think that a lot of the whole optioning thing comes from building a strong foundation and a strong fan base. And I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about a fan base of the comic. And it's like, you never know what the future can hold. If you continue to make noise, you continue to sell issues, people continue to enjoy it and talk about it, you never know what the future can hold. And if nothing comes out of it, we will have put out a publication or 2 that we can be extremely proud of. So with that said, I want to thank every single person out there that has already picked up a copy of Isolation issue number 2. Fingers crossed we can sell this thing out and keep it moving. Issue number 3 is going to be dope. I've seen some preliminary sketches, man, and I am honestly blown away by the direction that we're going in. As always, if you all need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.
My body ate itself until it found its passion. They got fat while we starved, but it's power in fasting. Until I turn to ashes, I remain stoic through my rap heroics. I painted 10,000 poems, then I drank the potion of poetry and motion. I started choking, it was potent. My throat chakra downloaded, knowledge hungry. I was embarrassed I could ask my parents for money when I had a full tummy. So I asked for wisdom, better than crypto, sweeter than honey. I don't take it for granted, I don't wear capes and masks.